All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 4th at 3:01 p.m. Calling to order this meeting of the 911 Services Enterprise Board. Thank you all for being here today. First, before we get into the agenda, Kirsten, so I missed where we don't have the public comment or the board comment on the agenda. Is that an issue? Can we still have those? Because those are typically not any kind of voting concern.
Yeah, you can add that in.
Okay. All right, then we will add to the agenda as number 3, public comment, and as the new number 6, I believe, board comment in their typical first and last space, unless there are any concerns, comments, or questions otherwise? Hearing none, we shall continue. All right, then we have discussion and approval of minutes. Does everybody have a chance to look at the minutes from our meeting on January 7th and our special meeting on January 14th? Oh, I do see a typo on the meeting on the 14th, meeting 23, has a date of January 7th. That should be a date of January 14th.
I'll make
Says
sure
it
to change
across
that.
says it across the top, but not in the second line. Thank
Mhm.
you. Any other comments on the draft minutes? Would anybody like to make a motion to accept either or both?
Motion to approve as amended.
Thank you, Matt.
I'll second.
Thank you, Amy. Unless there are any further comments or amendments, they are accepted. Thank you. All right, then now, public comments. Public comments are limited to up to 15 minutes total. Each member of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on any topic relevant to the purposes of the enterprise. If any member of the public would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising your hand in Zoom to be called upon. After we address any raised hands in Zoom, we will then call for any additional comments from members of the public who have dialed in or otherwise are unable to raise their hands in Zoom. We have a hand raised. All right, Val Turner, feel free to unmute. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, Michael. My name is Val Turner. I am Chief of Staff at Larimer Emergency Telephone Authority. I don't know if now is the appropriate time to ask comments of this committee or ask questions of this committee or just give comments.
Primarily, it would be comment. I would defer to Kirsten if and how we can answer questions. I know some boards I've seen can't really engage other than receive comments, receive questions, and act on them at a later time.
So, the board can typically give short responses. A lot of times the board will take more time to consider the comment and we can send something after to follow up, or we can put it as an agenda item on the next meeting.
Excellent. So I guess with that, Val, I'll restart your time. If you would like to ask a question, feel free, but we may not be able to respond entirely.
Okay, not a problem. I appreciate that. My question was if I haven't been on meetings here recently, but has the Enterprise Board finalized their funding process? I know you guys were going through those documents previously. If you have finalized what you're funding and what the process is to request funding.
And short answer to that, as far as funding, as far as our fees, we have those were finalized last year and are being collected. As far as how we will receive requests and expend those funds, that is actually on the agenda today.
Perfect. Thank you.
Kirsten, am I good? Thank you. All right. Any other public comments? Seeing no hands, is there anybody who would like to unmute and state their name if they were unable to raise their hands? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. All right, next up, document retention policy. So we had talked about this some very long time ago and had tabled it for other matters. I understand it didn't get out to everybody until very recently, so you probably haven't had a chance to look over it particularly well. Has everybody had a chance to look at it somewhat? Do we want to pull it up and look at it together? Or do we want to push this to an agenda item for next month?
I've looked at it pretty quickly, but I did have a couple of questions, so maybe it would be good to pull it up and go over it. And then if we still need another round next month, at least we have the questions on the table.
Agreed. It's only 2 pages, but I was just able to start looking at it a few minutes ago.
All right. Starts off with our typical preamble, discussing who we are and the authority we have to make this document. The original draft did have this entry about an MOU with DOR, DORA, talking about what kind of services we'd have between us. I am not sure, Kirsten, I don't know if you saw that question. I'm not sure we need it because I would assume any conversation in the future we'd have with DOR in addition, or DORA, pardon me, and any internal policies of DORA would already be followed. Is that a fair assessment of that line?
Yes. So yeah, I think the edits here are fine.
Okay. And then the only other question I had was regarding appointments, resignations, applications, and recruitment. Because the recruitment is through a governor's appointment, would we have any applications or recruitments? I would assume that would be a separate function of the governor's office. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it in there, but is it needed in there?
Is this a question for me or the board?
I would say starting with you as far as
Okay.
whether or not we need it in there. And then
Yeah, at this point, I don't believe you would need it. And I don't know if that would change, but yeah, I would agree that that's probably the governor, their responsibility, yeah, their office.
thoughts from the board members?
Oh, I had a couple of questions just in how things are labeled here.
Mhm.
And I was going up to the very first paragraph that it says we're established within DORA. But when it comes to, does that make us an agency and a department? Like in the document description, the first 2 rows use the word agency and department. And that just seemed different to me. So are we really an agency and a department, or should we just put our enterprise 911 board or 911 services enterprise board history records or something, or is it appropriate to call us agency and department? I guess my question.
That is the same preamble reused in the other policies.
Okay, so we're already checked. All right, I'm good if it's all good. It just struck me weird this time for some reason.
Where was the agency language?
Article 1. I don't think we're an agency of, I think we're just attached to DORA.
So, I mean, this agency is just the title DORA. Is there another?
It down in the retention schedule. Rows 1 and 2. It says agency history records and department
Ah,
audit records.
geez.
Yeah, so that's drawn from a larger
Mm-hmm.
policy. So
Right.
that was the exact language from that policy recommended by the State Department, I believe.
Change it to enterprise.
Yeah.
I was wondering something similar about department. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where else you see those?
On the appointments, and resignations, I don't feel like we have to have those. They might be good for posterity for having our own records of that information over time. But I'm not opposed to just removing it.
Um, the board, or sorry, the enterprise, would you have, yeah, I was just going to say the second half of that, I don't think you would see the applications or recruitment info.
Right.
That was my thought. It would never come to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, unsuccessful applicants,
Yeah.
again, we would never. Okay.
The other question I kind of had, so Michael ends up by definition here being the custodian. And then the custodian, if they were to resign or whatever expiration, has to turn all the documents over to the next custodian, but you're not really individually keeping the documents somewhere that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So a
I mean-
majority, I mean, I do keep all of the documents that I have, but a majority of them are already on the website. The only thing really that I don't have and that are not on the website are the agendas, because as meetings happen, the agendas are removed. But I did check with Sage; they do maintain previous agendas. In this case, that would classify as um, the notices of meetings, basically, are the agendas.
Okay, so that was kind of my thought. I'm like, you're not, I mean, even if you do personally keep them, like what is the official record of source here? Is it what we put out on the website? Or otherwise it's maintained by Dora? So do we really want it to be the custodian's own personal records of these things, or do we need to add something in here as to kind of where and how they're kept here that doesn't so attach it just to like your own personal copies you're saving of all of this stuff as the chair?
I think ultimately we need a person responsible, whether that's the chair or anybody else. Yes, Matt.
I was going to suggest changing it from chair of the board to the department. Meaning Dora is,
Apply it to Dora.
Yep.
Is that
as board members, officers come and go over time, Dora will be the constant.
Kirsten or Sage? Is that Kirsten, I guess, is that something that we can put upon Dora, so to speak?
I don't think so, unless we can get something back from Dora saying they're comfortable being the custodian. I just don't think you have the authority to request that of them, but I can look into that more.
Well,
Okay.
even if we have a custodian, and Michael's for now is the custodian, is there some way to make it, in terms of the custodian, first union, all documents, where does it talk about retaining them? You know, within the Dora records or Dora websites or something like that. It just struck me strange that that person would personally have to keep the documents.
I,
But
I I don't think that's weird, just
you
from
don't?
my
Okay.
experience on other boards.
Okay.
Essentially, at the end of the day, somebody is in charge. Somebody has to be responsible, whether that's the chair, whether that's a parliamentarian, a historian. Um,
Okay.
there should be a person responsible for it.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
okay.
Lynn, did you have more?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
That was all I had in here.
So my other thought was Dora staff supporting the enterprise. That was actually my original thought, Dora staff supporting the enterprise. My concern with having any one of us as board members be the sole keeper. What if something happens to that one person and we don't have means to access those documents?
Well, I mean, the same thing happens with Dora's staff. It gets reassigned. I mean,
Sure, but if
Sage
you
wasn't
have,
with us.
Michael, if you have those documents on a local server at your place of employment,
I
you,
keep them in my Google Drive in my board account.
And I think, Matt, that I think I was kind of headed in my head in the same direction of, is
yeah,
it worth noting a more, not necessarily a different custodian, but a more a different a location, I'll say it that way, for these documents where they would be retained, um, you know, within, on the enterprise website and Dora, whatever Dora calls it, a Dora shared drive or something like that, where it had the documents available should anything happen to any one
yeah,
person.
yeah. So that whoever is the keeper, we don't necessarily, if it's one of the local governments that one of us works for, we don't have to ask them or worst case compel them to find and then hand over the documentation.
Maybe under electronic maintenance 2.3, we designate where they will be kept.
Yeah, that might work. I'm just not sure what to label it, but it basically be whether it's the website or Dora, a Dora shared whatever drive or whatever, that we would just identify that here.
Yeah. Sage, do you already have a Google Drive label folder?
Yes, there's a Google Drive folder for the meeting minutes and the agendas. And that's shared amongst the telecom team.
So one option would be to give board members access to that through their board email accounts, which are Google for Government, if you will.
Okay. Should I allow access?
Then do we run into the sunshine concerns where hypothetically we could make comments or, are there concerns there?
I know you can make documents view only to where a view only account can only read it there or download it.
Theoretically, there shouldn't be a reason, once it is in that drive, for any discussion of the document. It should be a record at that point.
Because we've already established that, at least for this board, we won't be doing redlining jointly through Google Docs as just a matter of practice because of that concern.
Sage, is this something that the telecom team has done with another board?
Unfortunately, I'm not too familiar. I'd have to ask. Jennifer, would you happen to know if we've done that before with another board?
Not to my knowledge, but there is a way to create a Google folder and have all of the documents in it be view only and have a separate folder for documents that Sage you're working on that the board is considering that the board itself does not have access to. So there's no opportunity for there to be any kind of communication on those documents outside of a meeting because they just don't have access to it.
That makes sense. And I can easily make one folder that is a view only and put all your emails in, so it should be accessible to everyone.
So this could be as simple then as in, I think Amy, was it you that said section 2.3, to the extent practical, documents will be maintained in electronic format by the department. And if we felt the need to, we could further explain all of that we just discussed. I don't know if it's necessary.
By the department, do we get into concerns about essentially mandating upon another entity?
I would think so. I don't know who we would contact at Dora to get permission to do that. You could say maybe maintain an electronic format only on, I'm going to sound like I'm IT illiterate here, but like on the department servers or on the
Sure.
Google Drive. I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Anything that enables the option that we just described.
Mm.
So with the other half of this being the actual naming of a custodian, what are people's thoughts as far as who that is? Is there concerns among the board not to name the chair and to approach Dora toward the previously redlined MOU side and request that that be a function of Dora?
I'm okay with it being the chair, with, the fact that we have it going out to, the actual repository being, within the state. If you're comfortable with it, Michael.
Andrew?
Yeah, I agree. I think with the level of automation that we've got, with just everything being done in one place and it automatically being archived and backed up and everything else, I think it's a little more, it's a little less onerous to name a custodian. And I think it probably makes sense for a member of the board to kind of have primary responsibility for making sure that that is continuing to happen, as labor intensive as it may be.
With that, so I mean, may or may not be material, but like the custodian shall preserve, should that be more like ensure that it is preserved?
Ensure the preservation of.
Yes, Amy.
The one question I had was in that second in 2.4, that paragraph there was, it says that prior to the custodian no longer serving as board chair, the custodian shall ensure all board documents. Do we have to have a successor custodian? I would think maybe our successor custodian would automatically be the current vice chair. So I'm wondering if we can take the part out about the successor custodian. So the custodian shall ensure all board documents maybe transfer or have oversight or something to the current vice chair until the board chair is installed. Unless we would have a successor custodian, but I would just think that the vice chair would be the successor custodian.
So what's weird to me, just timing wise, is that the chair and the vice chair could leave in the same cycle.
Let's plan it.
And then-
True. That's true.
Yeah, and then are you left? Please don't, but
That's just me
then
and
are-
Lynn and Andrew.
Yeah, then are you left? I mean, does there then need to be some sort of catch-all here that responsibility would go to all remaining existing board members or something? Because we're not anticipating any weird thing happening to anybody, so in all likelihood it's going to happen when you change the chair or you change the and if there's ever a gap there, well, maybe there wouldn't be a gap because one would start when the last one leaves and just assume it, so there wouldn't be a gap in time. Maybe we're okay.
I think the only time this wouldn't work out is if no one was willing to be the chair or vice chair.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen happen, but theoretically could. So in that case, you could add in language saying, if for some reason, there is no guardian or successor or guardian, sorry, wrong board. If there is no custodian or successor custodian, then the responsibility falls on the board as a whole.
So it would be shared by the existing board, the remaining board members.
Yeah.
I will say to Amy's point, the bylaws simply say the vice chair shall act in the absence of the chair, which could be inferred to mean in this
Including
matter as well,
custodianship.
Or
Mhm.
take over that responsibility.
at least for the time being, so to speak. And if not, then we'll just pass that to Kirsten.
And she can be the custodian.
There you go. No, I like the idea about the remainder of the board.
As a tertiary level or instead of this successor and vice chair?
I'd be okay with either direction for either way to achieve it.
Something like this. In the event there is no successor or vice chair, the responsibility will be upon the remaining board members until such successor is named.
For me.
I mean, if we could be more specific too, if we wanted to, or I'm fine with this as well. If we wanted to say the remaining officer, which would be the financial secretary, we could say that too. But none of you are allowed to travel together. I'm just saying.
Does anybody feel like the successor custodian language really should be the level below the vice chair? I don't know. I'm just feeling like this is Amy. I see you nodding, Kirsten. Should we find a way to shorten this?
Is that just because of the language in the bylaws?
Mm-hmm. Or do
My
we want
only
to
thought would be, let's say hypothetically, I give my, notice that I'm out, and at the next meeting, as my last action, we take a vote and Matt, you're going to stay vice, but Lynn comes up to be the chair.
Mhm.
Is there a need to go through the vice chair just to go back to the new chair? I think is what that's trying to kind of address is if you go straight from chair to chair, but the vice chair isn't that person. That's how I read it, at least.
I don't think there's any need to, in that situation, go through the vice chair.
Yeah.
It should just go chair to chair.
Mm-hmm.
Further discussion, or are we at a place where you want to sit with it? We'll get this forwarded to everybody and we can come back next month.
I can live with this.
I do have one quick question under 2.2 under the retention schedule itself.
Okay.
When it comes to financial documents, are those included under internal audit reports? Is there a schedule for those? Like annual budgets, grant awards, things like that.
I would assume those would be history records. Kirsten, would that be a separate?
I would assume so. I can look into this a bit more too and see if anything else separate exists for retention.
Yeah, I think, and also it could, again, they have the same retention period under open meeting minutes and supporting documentation. So I think all the,
Okay.
so
Amy,
maybe between both, it covers it, but if we want something separate, that's fine too.
would people feel more comfortable if we more explicitly said historical and financial or something of that nature?
You could just add in a whole new section too for financial records, grant applications, awards, etc.
I was hearing you guys talking about assuming that means it includes financial records.
I was assuming. Kirsten, would you mind looking into that?
Sure.
Or do we just want to hedge our bets and make a new section?
I would lean toward adding to the retention schedule a new section, but I'm happy to look into it as well.
And I guess the question then would be, is it also a tenure cycle and transfer to the archives, or just a 10-year cycle? Or so if it did say anything under history records, gave any more explanation that include financial, that would answer our retention period problem.
My thought would be it might be worth restating it in a separate box anyway, since this document is meant to be a resource for the public. They might not be able to look at this and say, if I want this document, who has it? Oh, there it is. It might not be as obvious.
I'd be open for
Um,
making a separate section. I guess it would just be determining what exactly that retention period is for those documents.
And just out of curiosity, are these documents in any one or more of the categories where it says, for example, enterprise audit reports, it, or even the financial records, are those final documents, certain documents along the way, all of the documents along the way? I'd be interested in
It tends to
understanding, because
be
we go
final
through a lot of
documents.
versions and things.
It's final documents. The other documents are
Fine.
considered work product.
Okay, okay.
If you want to go down that rabbit hole, the state historian's documentation on what and how to be retained is a long read.
Is it like reading a budget bill?
It will put you to sleep.
Okay. I'm good with the Kirsten's explanation.
So Kirsten will double check on that retention period for financial records. Sage will double check on the department share drive and setting that up. And we'll get this forwarded to everybody for additional thoughts for next month.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, funding discussion. So we hopefully will start having some funding in the short order here. Daryl is still following up with the internal state process as far as contracting and purchasing for the resource center and what that's going to look like going forward. How do we want to handle our funding decision making, so to speak, our grant application process? We do have our fiscal policy as far as kind of the broad overview, but we need to start looking at specifics. Is that a Google form process? Is that a PDF process? How do we want to, and when would we like to start accepting requests? Anybody like to get us started?
I think as far as the easy part, maybe, and again, subject to anything Kirsten says, oh, maybe we ought to do a different way, for legal reasons, but, if we could do something, online, whatever, and have it kind of automatically stored there and using it and everything, I'm all for Google Forms and things.
I agree with that. I think that's what we did when we gained ideas, project ideas, right? And it seemed to work well.
Well, with, I guess, my concern would be we're asking for more. That was the initial informational suggestion round. Now, let me share. So we're going to be requiring cover letters, summaries, statements. I'm worried that that would be a little much for a Google form. Although I suppose we could do like a very basic name and number and then upload a PDF kind of thing, just to
Or,
keep it together.
and I guess that's looking at right from the person on the other side inputting it. And they may find it, yeah, more difficult or not to do. More always my concern when we get things and they're just PDFs and everything. And then you can, sometimes works, doesn't work, but it'd be nice to, at a minimum, require any sort of, say if they attach a spreadsheet, if they put any of that, the native document as well as the PDF. If we want to go that way too. But it's really difficult if we get everything in PDF.
Would it be better to just create the template in the Google form so they just go through the Google form and fill out all the required fields? That would simplify it for them and probably for us. And
then have attachment.
Yeah. You know, along with a checklist. These are the things that you may need to upload. Make sure you have all of them. And now that I'm thinking out loud, I have run into issues with Google Forms where it'll only let you upload one document. So we'd want to make sure that if we're going to require multiple documents be uploaded, we'll want to double check that. But
I'm just thinking out, could they attach a zip file or something?
potentially, but then we'd also need to create instructions on how to create a zip file.
Okay.
And would
Okay.
OIT
Should they be
upset that we-
submitting an application if they don't know how to do it?
Yes, Matt.
If that does prove to be a problem, could we not ask them to simply email those additional documents to Sage? Or to one of the officers?
I don't see why not. Maybe do an initial, I guess, do we do an initial round and assessment through a Google form? Or do we do a Google form and an email for everybody? Do we do a Google form and just reach out if we think that project requires additional info?
I would much rather have a clearly defined list of appendices that we'd want with the application and just set the expectation that these are the things that need to be provided. So you could either upload them onto the Google Doc or the Google form, or email them to this email address once you've submitted your form.
Sage, I know we talked when we were doing our early discussions about public comments and the priority recommendations. Did we ever set up a generic email address, or is that, I know on the form side, is that going to a kind of, enterprise at state, 911 enterprise at state, or is that going to a specific list of people?
Not to my recollection. I don't believe we have a generic email. However, I do think we can set one up and it could be sent to my email, and that might be something good to look at in the future, especially if we want to attach an email at the bottom of a Google form. But I feel like that would be the best course of action personally, just so there's multiple ways we can receive information in the event that we can only attach one document in the Google form and there's multiple other ones. But I do think we can set that up
Excellent.
here. It would just be a matter of discussing it with OIT.
Okay. And that's not putting too much on you, obviously, receiving those.
No, not at all.
Kirsten, is that something as we start receiving these, is that something that could be in one of those view only share folders where everybody can go in and take a look at things as long as there's no way
Yeah.
to communicate?
Yep.
Seem like an okay solution, everybody?
Sounds good.
Path forward? Excellent.
Agreed.
Yes, Amy.
I have a quick question, just what's listed in the fiscal policy, I believe. Above that, it says that we may open application process or through a contracted partner. Would that contracted partner be the resource center? And if so, would we want them to accept proposals? Just a thought.
A fair point. The only matter for me at this point is timing. With trying to get what is the timing we want to look at? Do we want to start kind of a first round ourselves as we build things with the resource center, or do we want to wait for discussions with the resource center and have them start that? I guess that would totally eliminate all the need for Google Forms and emails if we were to go that way and the resource center were amenable to that.
I would say let's do it ourselves, at least to start, so that we get a good feel for what the process is and identify places where we may need to change bylaws and things like that. And then once this is all a well-oiled machine, then yeah, we could delegate.
That works?
Matt, you dropped your hand. Did you have? I'm going to call you out anyway.
It's all good. Andrew read my mind, but also I was going to ask, does anyone have a sense of timing for that effort with the resource center? I think it's going to be a while because of funding. So, like Andrew said, let's not wait.
That would be where my concern is, just the timing. And I know Daryl, like I said, has been working with the state, but I don't know if that's next week or if that's 3 months from now. I can work with Sage on that unless anybody else would like to kind of spearhead the Google form process. Okay, Sage will get together and work on what that form looks like.
Sounds good.
Amy, is that a new hand or is that continuation?
That is my continuation.
Okay, making sure. All right, any other thoughts before we move forward? Very good. All right, on to board comments. Only comment I have for this month is just with Lynn resuming as the financial secretary. Just a reminder that we have our first annual financial report due on or before June 30th. I know not a lot to report on yet, but just want to keep that front of mind as we start into that process. And
Can then potentially, I think we probably, I'll give it some thought here, because it will come about a lot quicker than I realized. But some thought to what we might want to include. I know we'll have some things coming up, but what we've done so far, what we might want to include in that first financial report. Is there, Kirsten, are there examples from other boards that have to file these financial reports that might give me some template ideas?
Likely, yes. I will look into that for you.
Obviously, the 988 board always comes to mind because they just kind of fall in a similar realm, but
Yeah, I will reach out and ask them.
all right, thank you.
Mhm.
I
anybody
just
else?
wanted to, sorry, continue.
No, please.
I did want to circle back if possible. I was checking the Google Groups and it does look like we have a 911 Services Enterprise email address already set up.
Excellent.
So we're ahead in that part.
Now the question is, where does it go?
That's a good question. I believe Daryl and I tested it a while back in August. So it'll be sent to me, and it's just kind of a generic email address of let me read it real quick. Hang on here. It's just Dora_911 Services Enterprise. So it'll be referred to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other board comments? Hearing and seeing none. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, March 4th at 3 p.m. Would anybody like to motion us out?
So
And I'll second.
Matt and Andrew
it was a
fighting.
tie.
All right. Peace. 3:53. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Take
Bye-bye.
care, everyone.